Jason Lennerman. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, mate? Everybody in the chat?
Hello, mate. And just very, very, very quickly, before we even get started here, let me do this. Hang on. There you go. Mr. John Keller, let me just address you, sir. I'm very Murray. Happy birthday, mate. So, you know how we do this, mate. Happy birthday to you, John Keller. Happy birthday to you, John Keller. I hope you have a fantastic day. Many happy returns. Happy birthday to you, John Keller. Happy birthday to you, John Keller. Many happy returns of the day to you. Many happy birthdays to you. Happy birthday to you, John Keller. Happy birthday to you, John Keller.
How about that, John Keller? I put Lee up to that. I saw on Facebook today for your birthday stuff.
Good on it, mate. You got to do it, didn't you?
With some coffee here.
Yeah, mate.
Told her to be punch and pie, but you're on your own. South Park.
Yeah. So we're carrying on with the National Geographic tonight, aren't we?
Reader's Digest. Actually.
Reader's Digest. That's it. Why did I say National Geographic?
That's close.
Similar sort of things, weren't they?
Yeah. Let's see here. And Time Life, also did Museum of the.
Hello, Henry.
Powers of the Paranormal is a program on the mysteries of the Unexplained VHS series, which explores baffling and mind-bending topics. The series includes programs that examine questions such as, is there life after death? What is the true power of the human mind? And are we alone in the universe? This is the second volume of this from Reader's Digest we looked at. Again, this is a set of VHS tapes, so it's been around for a while. However, this video, where we're presenting it here tonight, falls under fair use. The copyright disclaimer, section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips balance in favor of fair use. Lee, myself, from beyond staff management, nobody involved here does not own this content. All credits go to its rightful owners. No copyright infringement is intended.
Indeed. And that was eloquent to a fault, as per usual.
Oh, and I've got to get the clearance here from the head producer.
Oh, yeah. Here he is.
He says it's
Holden.
Okay.
It's Holden, everybody.
He's got the hiccups, I think.
Oh, look at him.
He
little darling. I hope he's keeping you up at night, mate.
Oh, I think I've slept about an hour or two per night for the last 2 weeks.
And all I can do is laugh, hey? I've been there, mate, and so has many others. It's a beautiful thing. It's soon. you'll be
I wouldn't
surprised
trade it for
how
anything. It'll fly. It's hard to believe. It's already going to be 2 weeks tomorrow. Oh, he said,
yeah,
take
you'll be surprised though, mate, how quickly they settle into sleeping all night as well.
away with it. Some, yeah. He sleeps all day and then held it up all night. So we got to
Oh,
give him.
that's lovely. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, that's just what I wanted. No, it'll be fine, mate. It'll be fine.
And he also says to tell you happy birthday, John Keller.
Oh, look, hello, Stephen. How you doing?
He got his hair wet earlier and it was standing straight up everywhere, but it's laid back down now. He looked like he had some sort of mohawk in effect going on there, but look at what a fine looking fellow there. He's
Yeah,
checking everything out.
he's a good looking little lad, mate.
Look at that hair.
Yeah, beautiful,
Oh,
mate.
he's
Beautiful.
looking at the
Yeah,
microphone. But
yeah,
anyway, there he is. This is, I think, the third time he's been on with me, 3 or 4. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I had him on a live stream.
Yeah, you had him on your live stream as well, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had him briefly on with you, I think.
Yep. Yeah. You've had him on 2 or 3 times on
Yeah.
my show, haven't you?
Yeah.
Always welcome, mate. He's always
Yeah.
welcome, of course. You know, absolutely. Oh, it's beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful, mate. Beautiful.
He got the hiccups, but he gets his 2-week checkup tomorrow. Hopefully everything's looking good.
Ah,
He's doing fine. He doesn't
yeah,
cry a whole lot unless he's mad, hungry, wet, or
yeah.
wants to be held.
That's it. It's the normal things, mate. Either he needs his nappy changing, he needs food, or he needs comfort. You know.
Yeah. And
And
occasionally
then the next
he's
stage will
doing
be
it.
and then the next stage will be teething.
Oh, yeah.
And colic.
Yeah.
Colic is the other thing.
So far, no colic. He just, like I said, the hiccups and a little bit of sputum here and there. He spits up after he takes his bottle.
Yeah, that's normal, isn't it? Yeah. You got bibs for him though. Yeah, that's all that matters. Yeah, you know.
Herb cloths and bibs and washcloths and everything. So
Yeah, that's
all
it.
good.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's great, mate.
Wouldn't trade it for anything.
No,
Look
mate.
at
It's
look at that
brilliant,
foot
isn't it?
there.
It's brilliant.
He's being a good boy right now. He's going to take over for me when I get too old to narrate.
Well, I think he should. I mean, that's brilliant. It's beautiful. I'm sure everybody else is happy to see him.
Yep.
You
Yeah, he
know,
got a
always
lot of compliments. I put pictures of him up on my other channels and got a lot of.
Yeah, no, he's a
well,
good looking baby, mate.
Couple of confused people though, like, "Oh, is that your grandson?"
Yeah.
No.
No, you knew that was coming though, didn't
Yeah, I
you?
knew
You knew you was gonna get that.
Yeah.
It's obvious you're gonna get that, isn't it?
But oh well, it ain't my fault that I can marry
It's
him.
not your fault. You can still produce, son.
Still
Come on.
produced, have
Come
a wife,
on.
22 years my junior.
Yeah, there you go, mate.
This right here.
Mate. Rock and roll, baby.
That's right. Yeah, we did. Think about it. I saw where Anthony Kiedis, the guy from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he's got a 19-year-old girlfriend. So he's.
Yeah, there you go.
And,
Hey, mate.
Got
Look,
hold of my headphones here.
the thing is, it's the
Dustin
mature
Hoffman,
man
I
thing,
think.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the mature man thing. That's what that is, mate. It's the secure thing. You know,
no woman wants a young boy if she knows what she's doing.
No, a
And
real woman
likewise-
wants a real man. That's
And
it.
likewise, no old man like me wants an old bat. Somebody said
Yeah.
that. Why don't you go after somebody your own age? Like, what would I want with an old bat for?
Why would I want to do that? Are you mad?
But
It
no,
works
but
that way
women-
round. I don't think it works the same with a woman,
that
and
doesn't work.
I don't think it works the same with a lot
No.
older woman with a younger man, though. I don't think that
No.
works quite as well. But you know,
having
hey,
a young wife and a young baby now, and a newborn, that's going to still keep me young. So, right on.
of course you will. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. Area 51. Hello, buddy. How you doing?
Somebody told me now I'd have to baby-proof the house, and I said too late. One already got in.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah. That you're on that path now. Do you know what? I've left my drink out there. So we're gonna get on with this, then? Are we gonna?
Let's crack on with Reader's Digest here. Whatever it is we're watching.
This
Powers
takes.
of the Paranormal. Yeah, I'm skipping about a half hour there. You go from, I believe it's from 1987 or thereabouts.
Whoa.
So everybody enjoy. I'm going to go
Yeah, mate. Yeah, you go and lay him down and stuff. Yeah, or give him the Nicole.
Life is full of mysteries. Perhaps none more compelling than those that lie within the confines of the human mind. Most of us perceive the outside world by virtue of the 5 known senses. But there are some people who claim they see the world through extrasensory channels. Do these strange powers of the mind truly exist? Can they be measured, tested, even harnessed? Or are they destined to remain beyond our grasp? We'll seek the answers to these and other questions as Reader's Digest's Mysteries of the Unexplained presents Powers of the Paranormal. In the middle of the night in the year 1700, the city fathers of a small French town went grave robbing. They intended to steal from the tomb of one Michel de Nostradam, better known as the prophet Nostradamus. According to legend, a document containing the secret to his extraordinary powers was buried with him in 1566. But Nostradamus himself had warned against disturbing his eternal sleep.
The man who opens the tomb when it is found, and who does not close it at once, evil will come to him that no one will be able to prove.
A medallion is discovered. Inexplicably, it is engraved with the present date, the year 1700. 134 years earlier, Nostradamus had foreseen this, the moment of his desecration. Horrified, the robbers leave the prophet to his peace. Our desire to peer into the future is universal. It is the longing to command our destiny rather than be commanded by an unknown, impersonal fate. In every civilization, in every corner of the world, prophets have arisen and people have embraced their every word. Nostradamus himself followed a prophetic tradition at least as ancient as the Greeks. Certainly his rituals seem modeled after Brankas, one of the famed oracles of the great temple of Delphi. Seated by a smoking brazier, Brankas would conjure her visions of the future from the vapors in the air. But by the time of Nostradamus, those engaged in fortune-telling were thought blasphemous and malign. The so-called cunning men and wise women of the Middle Ages practiced their profession in secrecy and fear. The Catholic Church saw little difference between a soothsayer and a heretic. Indeed, the Inquisition doled out a similar fate to both. Prophets were arrested and burned at the stake. This was the climate of persecution in which Nostradamus practiced his strange arts. Indeed, his interest in magic his ecstatic trances, his writings and predictions, all might have doomed a lesser man. But so renowned was the mastery of Nostradamus that the nobility was able to protect him from the Inquisition's wrath.
Nostradamus walked a tightrope between religious correctness of the 16th century and getting himself burned at the stake. He died in his bed, so he was a success at not upsetting the church authorities too much. But you've got to understand, in the 16th century, it was not so much that you were performing heresies, but if you were indiscreet about it.
Over 36,000 words of prophecy flowed from his pen. His epic work, The Centuries, holds more than 900 predictions about the future of the world. Nostradamus lived to see some of his prophecies fulfilled. The most famous concerned the death of the reigning monarch of France, Henry II. In 1556, he forewarned the king that he would be killed in a joust.
The prophecy described in detail what happened. This is what it said. The young lion and the old lion will meet and ritualize combat on the field of honor. Then he says, he shall have his eyes pierced through the golden cage.
Despite the warning, Henry entered a joust. His opponent's lance shattered as they clashed. The splintered shaft penetrated the golden visor of the king. 10 days later, he died. Nostradamus's prophecies are couched in 4-lined rhymed verses called quatrains. Written in an obscure and cryptic style, sprinkled with Hebrew, Latin, and Portuguese words, they are difficult to interpret. Some say his writings contain little more than fiction, but others claim the various verses foretold the Great Fire of London in 1666, details of the French Revolution and the rise of Napoleon and Hitler. Volume 9, Quatrain 90 declares,
In 1937, an infernal power will rise against the church. This shall be the second Antichrist.
The chilling accuracy of his predictions had ensured Nostradamus his place in history. But what of his predictions yet to come? The most terrifying of his prophecies concerned the fate of the earth. He wrote of the very month when the world will come to a cataclysmic end.
In the year 1999 and 7 months, the great king of terror will come from the sky. He will bring back to life the king of the Mongols. Before and after, the god of war reigns happily.
If Nostradamus proves as accurate with this prediction as he was with others, we are standing at the threshold of the end of time. Today, paranormal powers are making headlines. Some crimes that left law enforcement baffled seem to have been solved by psychics. Can they interpret clues and answer questions the rest of us cannot? The Reader's Digest decided to put together its own team of paranormal investigators to find out.
Sometimes you have to use alternative methods of investigation to point you in the right direction. And you have to keep an open mind as to all possibilities.
A little girl has been missing from her home in Rochester, New York for 2.5 years. The longer she is missing, the more surely chances of finding her decrease. Time is running out. We hired Nancy Meyer, a native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She has helped solve more than 250 police investigations all over the United States. She claims a success rate of 90%. Jim Wright has worked with Nancy Meyer before.
The important thing about working with Nancy was that she knew nothing about the case, and there were several instances where we had her on the scene of the crime.
I think YouTube shut us down, Lee.
Why is that then?
Yep.
You did
Stream
the copyright.
unavailable. We did. Stream unavailable, stream suspended for policy violations. Supposedly, if we let it kick back, it'll. Let's take that off screen.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what you could make the picture smaller.
Try that.
That's all you. Let's try that. No, it'll be that one.
Yeah, there we go.
He was able to tell us specific details about the case.
Right,
that-
the things. Let's pause it. Yeah. So maybe we should keep us big and have that small, and maybe we got to pause it between them. That you've done disclaimer though. That's out of order.
Yeah, then the disclaimer, and this is the second in this series that we've done, and they didn't touch the first one, so not sure what's going on. Yeah, still seeing. Let's see if we're back yet.
They haven't given the channel a strike, have they?
No, it's just the stream suspended. I got an email here. Streams are interrupted when copyrighted content is detected. After it's no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled. So we're just waiting for it to come back up. Let me take that off the screen for a minute. A pain in the ass. Yeah, we'll give it a minute to catch back up. Get the dashboard and take a look here. Sorry about this, folks.
They can't hear you, mate. It's off. I'm refreshing the YouTube now to see if we're back on yet. No, we're not back on yet. That's fucking out of order, that is. Get that new piano out then.
Yep.
Oh, here we are. We're back. Yep, we're back.
There we
Hi,
go.
everybody.
Yeah,
Hi.
we're
Sorry,
back.
sorry about that. We don't understand because
Rude
as you
interruption.
heard, Steve did do the disclaimer at the beginning of the show. I don't know why they didn't pay attention to that because they've allowed us to play the other
Yeah,
Readers,
there's a
Readers
three
Digest.
series, three cassette series here. We did the first one, and now the
Yeah.
second one they decided to be buttholes about it.
Most disconcerting. Hello, Ted, as well, by the way.
Ted Branston, yep.
Here, get that piano out, it says.
Let's see if I've got- I don't have anything else I can show.
No, I mean, this is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, this is the bloody problem.
Yes. Should have had a backup. Take it, Lee. That sounds awesome, Lee. beautiful.
Well, just a bit of a musical break, mate. You know. So I don't know what we're gonna do now.
I got a backup here. This is from Woodbridge TV, community TV in Woodbridge, New Jersey. Something about paranormal stuff in New Jersey. I just grabbed it, and since
Right.
it's community television, we should be able to show it again.
But again,
no copyright
yeah.
infringement intended. And it's about a half an hour, so that should 29 minutes exactly. So it should fill out the rest of the show. Let's put it up. See what happens. We'll raise the flag and see who salutes.
Wish us luck, JDs and Letterman. Wish us luck.
We'll see what happens. New Jersey Paranormal.
It's New Jersey Paranormal.
Hi, this is John Ruggiero, and this is New Jersey Paranormal. With me today is Brian Cano from Haunted Collector and from Scared. Brian, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, John. It's good to be here.
Let's start at the beginning. You started as a urban explorer / paranormal investigator. This led to the creation of your paranormal team that you're still part of, Scared. Take me through the evolution process, going from Scared in Staten Island, your cable access show, all the way up to Haunted Collector.
Wow, John, I mean, the past 14 years has been this crazy journey that I could never have predicted when we first started. Now, back in 2002, we started a cable access show on Staten Island called, appropriately enough, Scared on Staten Island. And for me to say that it was a paranormal investigation show would be giving it too much credit. It was urban exploration. Essentially, it was just myself and 4 or 5 of my friends going into abandoned buildings trying to ascertain if any of the wild, crazy stories and all the urban legends were true. Now, in Staten Island, you have a lot of abandoned buildings. And as abandoned buildings do, nature takes over, the rumors start. Mm-hmm. Ghosts, murders, Satanists, all that crazy stuff. And we figured, you know what? If these places are as haunted as everyone says they are, we should be able to go in with ourselves, a couple of cameras, and our wits, and come out with something, right? So that was the genesis of my paranormal career, I guess. It was very Blair Witch, very shaky cam. If I were to show you some of the old tapes, you would need a Dramamine.
So this led to the creation of documentaries. Mm-hmm. How, again, did you go from urban exploration to the documentaries to then becoming part of the Haunted Collector?
Well, you know what it was? My friends and I were always filmmakers. We loved to do comedies and skits, and we just always loved doing things with film. And this was actually intended just to be another project. We figured we'd do 6 episodes, and after that, we would go on to something else. Now, the first 5 episodes were actual
what's going on there?
Documentaries, all the places we went in with our cameras, and we figured, all right, let's see what we can get. Now, episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all took place on Staten Island.
Okay.
The 6th episode was going to be our Halloween episode. Now, that was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That was going to be something else.
Okay.
We called it the Davis Center, and we fabricated a location. We're like, okay, we're going to explore the Davis Center, and we had a history, we had rumors, and it started off just like every other episode. Now, again, this was 2002. There's no ghost hunters.
Right.
There's no ghost adventures. Paranormal programming essentially was Halloween. And whatever specials came out at the time, it culminated with It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and then it was off to Christmas.
Right.
Now, this 6th episode began like all the other ones, but then one by one, the crew members started dying. One by one, one by one. I think Chris and I were the last ones. I was second to last to go, and you'll see this on our press reel. All the different shots. There's one shot of Chris backed against a doorway, screaming as this rubber monster hand reaches out for him. And that was the Blair Witch aspect, where it says tape end, and we planned to do nothing for the next year. We were going to disappear so that all our viewers would go,
funny. That's funny.
oh my God, what happened to them? And then we would come back, and it essentially was our Halloween episode because it was trick or treat.
Okay.
And we loved talking to people about it because we always asked them, at what point did you stop believing? Because each death, like the first couple, crew member Greg gets hurt. He's got a gash on his leg, and we had makeup effects. And then there was a cave-in on Eric. And then little by little, one of the other members gets knocked out by something in the woods. I disappear, and Chris goes into the last room he saw me in, and there's just like pieces and organs everywhere with blood all over the walls. And then the rubber monster. So at the end, it's all right, you get it. You're with us on the joke, but at what point did you stop believing?
Right. You know what's funny about that is that I always thought a good movie would be sort of the paranormal group that goes into the house, Blair Witchy, and just kind of disappears one by one, like you mentioned. It's funny that you mentioned that. So where does John Zaffis come into the picture, and the origins of Haunted Collector? Where does that come from? How does that start?
Well, because Scared on Staten Island was essentially meant to be a 6-episode side project,
Right.
At the end of it, we got such great feedback. People loved what we were doing. The station itself said, wow, you guys really have something interesting. Don't be surprised if a producer out there watches this and you see something come out like it. And I mean, I'm not going to have the hubris to say, yeah, we started the movement, but
Right.
we were amongst those at the time that were part of a very growing, percolating bunch that were interested in the paranormal. And we figured, you know what? They're enjoying it, we're enjoying it, let's keep doing it. So we dropped on Staten Island, and we just shortened it to Scared. And we started leaving the island, going to different locations. And we really started to become investigators. Now, I always tell people, you cannot be an investigator in the paranormal seriously for an extended amount of time and not run into John Zaffis.
Yeah.
John
This is true.
Zaffis, godfather of the paranormal. I mean, the man, he's... When we met him, it was at a convention. And I knew he was going to be there, and I was very...
Yeah, so I was when I met him.
Chris, we're going to meet John Zaffis. Oh, we have to make a good impression. Godfather, I mean, especially when you're from New York and someone is called the Godfather,
Right.
you...
take notice.
You
Right.
straighten your back. You
Show some respect.
Godfather, I got something to say. You know, you try to get all your ducks in a row.
Right.
So we pull up to the convention, and it was in Gettysburg. And it was at the Eisenhower Hotel.
Okay.
Now, the Eisenhower has 2 entrances, one on the lower part of the hill, one on the upper part of the hill. So we pull up to the first door and look inside and say, oh my God, Chris, there's John Zaffis. Okay, we've got to talk to him. I go inside. They say, oh, no, you got to check in up at the other one. Okay, got in the car, up the hill, get out of the car. There's John Zaffis. And it seemed like as we were going to our room, as we were setting up our booth, as we were doing all our things, everywhere we went, there was John Zaffis. And between Chris and I kept saying, you know, he must have like an army of clones or body doubles or something. So the convention went on. Chris went outside to have a smoke. There was a couple of people gathered. John was amongst them. And Chris, this was one of the first nights of the convention, so we were all feeling a little good, having a casual evening. And Chris goes to John. He goes, "Hey, Zaffis, how many of you are there?" John, he's classic, takes it in stride. He goes, well, what are you talking about? He says, because every time we see you, we go somewhere else, and like Jason in Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
you end up in front of us somehow. And he goes, what? I'm with Jason Hawes in the woods? He said, no, I didn't say that. He goes, wait, you had a dream about me and Jason Hawes in the woods? We were naked?
Totally missed the boat.
Whoa, when did this become part of it? No, hey!
Some impression you're making there.
And John, you know, he took it very seriously, very
Right.
straight-faced, and that's how he gets you. And then he started to crack a smile.
Right.
And from that point on, it was us and John. And that next year, we produced a documentary for him called John Zaffis, The World Within.
Okay.
And it was a month in the life of a demonologist. It was his story. So this was the direct precursor to Haunted Collector.
Right.
So you've got his kids in it, Chris and Amy. You've got Beth Ezzo, who's in it also. We're in it. And it details everything he's done, from his collection of haunted items to his work in demonology to his home group of Presney. And we had the greatest time filming it.
Oh, wow. What was the name of that?
John Zaffis, The World Within.
Okay. Your interest in the paranormal, let's go back. Did it start from an experience that you had? A lot of people start that way, or was it just a general interest, something you were always curious about?
You know, I feel like my journey over the past 14 years has been a very sine wave type looking one, because when I started out, when I was a kid, as many of us, I believed in everything.
Right.
I used to watch In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy, and every week I would be fascinated with what I saw, and I would think, I'm gonna grow up. I'm gonna find it out. I'm gonna go to Stonehenge. Yeah. I'm gonna find the Loch Ness Monster. And like we all did, where our heads are filled with dreams.
Right.
And as you get older, you know, what do you start off with? Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, Jesus, or whatever. Insert your deity here. And one by one, if you get older, you start losing those things. And for the longest time, I found myself a skeptic. Hardcore.
That's what I was going to ask you. Were you always a believer, or were you?
No, I mean, I originally believed in it. When I was a kid, I was that kid who was too afraid to do the Bloody Mary challenge in the mirror.
So was I.
Just in case.
Yep.
I was raised Catholic, so I have all those stories and teachings inside me, and I wasn't going to mess with that. Because, back then, like now, the paranormal, you're a rock star. You go into town and you say, hey, I've got a paranormal group. People are like, wow,
I've got a black T-shirt and
black
somebody.
Right. You upgrade to the jacket eventually.
I'm not quite there yet.
But you tell people this, and now it's an opening to conversation. So no longer are you looked at as crazy. You're looked at
mainstream now. It's no longer.
I've got an experience. Let me tell you about this. Oh, right. And they'll pull out their phone and they'll say, hey, my aunt took this picture. Can you tell me what it's about? But back then, back when we were kids, it was the occult.
Yep.
If you looked into this stuff, it was subversive. It was underground. You didn't talk about it.
What about a Ouija board? Have you ever used one? I never asked you that.
I've used one once.
And?
On the first episode of Scared on Staten Island.
Okay.
And I used it in conjunction with one other person. And I was a skeptic. I'm like, this is stupid. This is not going to work.
I never have.
You're pulling it. Stop it. And I think he was pulling it. So
okay.
I haven't used one since. There's a lot of superstition. There's a lot of fear centered around the Ouija board. But honestly, it's a cardboard.
Do you have that fear of?
No, I don't. Although I will say this, it's the intent.
Right.
It's not the board itself. There's nothing imbued. Parker Brothers can't package the paranormal.
Exactly.
But it's what you do with it. So we could take this DVD and draw on it.
Exactly.
And whatever we do with it, that's the connection. And the difference is, when we're on an investigation, you and I, we use gadgets.
Right.
We use gear. With a Ouija board, you're saying, use my body.
Yep.
And I'm not down with that.
Okay. I know for myself, when I got into this, I, like you, was a bit of a skeptic. I watched the shows. I did the research. It wasn't until that first experience that I started to really believe. What was that first experience like for you that made you go, oh man, maybe this is real. Maybe spirits and ghosts are real?
I feel like I didn't have one experience. For me, it was a lot of little things. And starting from that skeptic standpoint, from then to now I consider myself a skeptical believer.
Okay.
I know the activity exists. I know the phenomenon is real. It's the people who report it that I'm pretty skeptical of. Now, from A to B, there wasn't one moment that just turned the lights on and said, oh, bing, I get it now. But the way I describe it, it's like each experience is a grain of sand.
Right.
In and of itself, not very life-changing, but enough of those grains of sand, and you look down, hey, I'm standing on a beach.
Right.
This is incomprehensible. And for me, it was a lot of little things. And when you investigate the paranormal, I feel like there's this door. And you're kind of looking through the doorway, looking through the crack, trying to peer inside to that other room.
Right.
And the more you do it, that door opens wider and wider until the door is open and you can't go back to that earlier state of being. So that's why I can never go back. It's only a one-way.
Well, I just, like I said, for me, I was actually had a recorder in Gettysburg, and I was walking around asking questions, and just like they do on TV, and I was by myself, and I listened back to the recording, and there were actual answers, and that for me was that wow moment. That's why I was wondering if you ever did have that. I know your urban explorations. Did a door ever just close on you, or did you hear a voice live or something like that?
But at the time, I dismissed it. In recent years, I've gone back to some of those old tapes and old recordings, and we found EVPs.
Okay,
back then. We weren't ready. I wasn't ready to accept it at that point.
Okay.
And because it's an evolution, you have to take it at your own speed. So for me, I want to say it was probably 2009 at a place called the Grand Midway Hotel.
Okay.
That I had the experience that really solidified it for me. And I look back and say, yeah, that was the pivotal moment. That was the culmination of all those grains of sand. And I looked down and realized, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And over the course of my own entire career, I've had these, these moments of cerebral, warheads that just explode in my brain. And like when I first discovered what an EVP was,
Right.
I'm just reading and doing research. I'm like, okay, electronic voice phenomenon. Oh, okay, ghostly voices. All right. And then I experienced them. And next I got to more methods of ITC and real-time communication and a group called Time Stream and all these other technicians on the other side and stations. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, this sounds like science fiction.
Yeah, until you experience.
And all these concepts are very much, they operate like the stages of loss. You're presented with it, and then you have to go through the stages. There's denial, there's bargaining, there's, because everyone kind of has a feeling that they get what's going on.
Right.
I know what the world is about, and I'm comfortable with my place in it. And when I take your world and I flip it on its side, all right, it takes a while for you to get that
Right.
equilibrium, and then eventually you get to that acceptance. And then on to the next mind-shattering moment.
Well, I've always wondered about your theory on what spirits are, and people believe their soul's trapped here for whatever reason, they can't move on, or that the afterlife is another dimension and that spirits could come back and forth through portals. What is your opinion on spirits?
That's a big,
And why
that's a
is-
big
I know
question.
it's the question.
Oh, we only have half an hour for this?
I'm just curious if you can sort of, in a nutshell, what do you believe?
My current belief, and I have to preface it with that,
Okay.
because again, I consider myself a scientist.
Right.
So to operate in belief,
Right.
it's a hard thing. Now, semantically, okay, we're all dealing in belief. Whether you're one of those love and lighters who just, I believe, I see, you got a lot of the psychic end who they just feel and believe, and that's all that's required.
Right.
And then there's those who require the proof. You're scientists, you're skeptics who need empirical data. Whichever camp you're in, you're operating on belief,
Right.
either in a higher power or in the figures and facts that essentially the guys in the lab coats and the scientists and the philosophers are telling us. And again, I've never researched, I've never measured that when the seasons change and the water turns into ice, that yes, it is 0 degrees Celsius. But I take it on faith that, yeah, they figured that out, they know what they're doing. So what is the afterlife? What is that beyond? As I've come to understand it, we are in this vessel, this body.
Right.
Okay. Law of conservation of energy says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only changes forms.
Right.
I always say that.
So, okay, if we were to take that and extrapolate further, whatever we are, that spark, that soul, that whatever it is that makes us survives. We go to a higher plane, another plane of existence, which is adjacent to ours,
Right.
but isn't this physical. Now, spirits, a lot of times, will get trapped, and it's not like necessarily in the movies that, they've done something wrong, and they're
Right.
gonna, There's also free will. there's choice. Some of them choose, I can't go on. I have fear of judgment. I can't face what I've done in this life, so I'm going to stay here. And extended time on this plane, sometimes if you do this, imagine you were in this room for the rest of your existence. You'd probably start to go a little batty, huh? That happens. It's very hard to separate the Hollywood paranormal from the actual paranormal. And in some ways, I feel like the actual paranormal is a lot scarier, but not as visual.
I agree with that. So along those same lines about mentioning spirits, you hear a lot in this field about people assisting spirits in crossing over, or even forcing them out of a location if there's a person who is scared of the activity in their home or their building. Do you believe, again, we're talking about beliefs,
of course,
that someone who is living has that ability to force a spirit out or assist them in going to the afterlife?
You know, I used to not think so. I used to feel like, who are we? You know, well, first of all, who are you to say that that spirit has to go? Maybe that spirit is exactly where it needs to be at that time. There's a grand plan. Maybe, you know, who are we to mess with essentially what is nature? And I know a lot of it is hubris. A lot of it is human ego saying, I'm going to cast the spirit out. I'm going to rescue the spirits. What are you rescuing, really? What,
exactly.
Really? But I've seen cases and I've seen instances where, like, yeah, this happens. I've been present when spirit dissipates.
Right.
I have no explanation for it. I have no words for it, so I have to take it on faith that, yeah, even though it's not for everyone, and not every black t-shirt clad group can or should do it, there are those that do, and those that must, just to keep that natural order.
Okay. And, another subject that's sort of more mainstream now is demons. Lots of people claim there's TV shows about demonic activity, paranormal shows about demonic activity. Do you believe in demons, and have you ever experienced anything demonic?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
I do believe. Again, I was raised Catholic, so that terminology is ingrained in me very, very deeply. And even through my skeptical days, this is something that resonated. Now, I'll take you back to the Grand Midway Hotel.
Right.
This was the one and only case that I ever participated in that I feel we encountered something demonic.
Okay.
Or if we don't want to use that word, definitely malevolent, inhuman, negative.
Okay.
And it tapped directly into those old beliefs, into the core of how I was raised. And again, to say the word demon, it's very Hollywood now. It's very, all the paranormal shows on TV are like, we're going to fight a demon.
Everybody's got a demon now.
You're not.
Right.
I've only done one case. And after that case, me rocking back and forth, the rest of us shell-shocked to the point where my buddy Chris Mancuso on my team, he started wearing a cross. And the reason for this is that if there's evil, then there must be good, and you have to pick a side. And this case, this moment, was pivotal for a lot of different things. Like, this definitely was a turning point, because it's very easy to think that we're in control, and that we have the answers to everything. There are things out there that predate us, that are older than us, that we can't understand, that we can't even comprehend.
We don't know everything,
And we can only communicate. I can only explain to you with my limited, caveman brain about what we've seen in the language of our past experience. I can't describe to you something that I can't comprehend, because there's no words to experience it. And I feel like with hauntings, that's the case for a lot of us. It comes down to feeling and emotion, and it's very hard for me to give that to you until you experience it yourself, and vice versa, which is why...
Along those same lines, do you ever feel like you've had an attachment? And you've been to a lot of places. Do you ever feel like something came home with you?
Consciously, no. But unconsciously, maybe. I have a lot of people in the field say, yeah, you've got an attachment. Or I'm feeling some negative energy on you. I'm like, oh really? Okay. But these days, to use the old adage, there's no atheists in foxholes. I bring protection with me.
Okay.
And I don't talk about what it is or how I protect myself, but again, it goes back to intent. I'm trying to protect myself against those things that are trying to affect me, and it's not always spirits. Sometimes it's people. Sometimes it's their energy coming towards you, and it's funny to start this segment off with my time on Scared on Staten Island, because if 2002 Brian and 2016 Brian ever met,
Oh, I can imagine.
the fact that I'm sitting on here talking to you about energy and intent and all this stuff, 2002 Brian would be like, you're crazy.
I can imagine. Let's talk about the game Three Pillars.
Okay.
You created this game with a member of Scared, Chris.
Chris Mancuso.
Okay. Could you give us just a summary of the game and what was behind the creation of the game? And
Okay. Well, I mean, as you've seen with our documentaries, with everything we've done, I always like to have a creative aspect to it. We're all creative people. I mean, you're a host of a show. You're creating your own entity. You're bringing something into existence, and I love doing things like that. I've always been a gamer. Back in the day when Chris and I were younger, we would play D&D. We always played board games and card games. So I figured, you know what? Love of the paranormal, love of games. Let me merge them together.
Okay, so if you had to describe this sort of briefly to the paranormal enthusiasts, because I know this is very popular with us in the field, people in the field, and enthusiasts, what would you say the game itself is about in a nutshell?
The Three Pillars, a paranormal card game, is essentially a investigation simulator. Two teams looking to investigate haunted places and the calamities that naturally happen to us. Battery drain, broken equipment, possession, things that stop us, we have to overcome in order to close the cases.
Okay, so there are different locations, right, in the game. What are the Three Pillars?
The Three Pillars actually is a reference to how we built our paranormal team, Scared. Three Pillars are psychic, skeptic, scientist. Three different viewpoints to make a more well-rounded investigation. And from the points probably just prior to the Grand Midway, we started utilizing that because we figured any one viewpoint alone skews how you see it. It's all perspective. So if we have three different perspectives, we come closer to truth. It's almost like the government, three different branches of government, so that no one has all the power. So the Three Pillars is a direct reference to that. And in the game, you have the scientist, the skeptic, and the psychic all operating on their cases.
How long has the game been out now?
It's been out for, let's say, a little over 2 years.
And it's available at?
NeverStopSearching.com.
Now, Scared, I've watched a few of the documentaries. Is that the perspective that your team would take during an investigation, the Three Pillars type of technique when investigating?
Yes, Three Pillar system I've actually integrated into everything I've been doing since its inception. There was actually something that happened on October 1st, 2016, called National Ghost Hunting Day.
Right, that's right.
And on that day, we did the world's largest ghost hunt.
Okay.
It was 70 teams
Wow.
across 5 different countries, across 4 different continents. And I insisted, I said, look, this is an experiment we're going to be doing. We have to implement the Three Pillar system so that we have a common ground for us to compare our evidence. And I'm still compiling that data, but it's been pretty amazing so far.
The experiment itself was to have multiple teams across
It was a
the
global,
country.
simultaneous investigation. Now,
Okay.
being in the paranormal for as long as you and I have been, we know every weekend there's something going on somewhere. There's a team gearing up for their first investigation. There's a paranormal event fundraiser going on somewhere else. There's another place that's running tours. And we're all concurrently yet separately going about all this stuff every weekend.
Right.
I said, you know what? Let's do it together. Let's do it as one unit. For that one day, for 2 hours, we are one team with one goal in mind. And I called it the Bridge. Now, the Bridge experiment was designed, now this is based on rudimentary the school experiments, the experiments which involve the time stream group. Look it up. Research for later.
Right.
I wanted everyone involved in this on the planet to ask the same questions.
Wow, so it was sort of mass communication to the spirit world.
And I figured if all our intents were at the same, we were all together at the same time, asking the same questions, maybe we can raise our vibrations enough to make a better communication, almost like tuning that radio to the right station and get clearer communication. And so far, from the results we've been getting, interesting results.
Well, it was great having you here, Brian. I really appreciate you coming out. It's great to have you on the show. You appear at all of our expos and you support Woodbridge and
looking forward to the next one.
What we're trying to do here. Thank you for watching this episode of New Jersey Paranormal. I'll see you next time.
Wow. So that was that, mate.
Yeah, kind of pales in comparison to what the Reader's Digest tape would have been.
Oh, totally. I'm confused as to why it got taken off. It's, it shouldn't have. Like I said, you did the proper disclaimer. It came from a place that's supposed to be okay to share.
Yeah, and we shared part 1, and then part 2, they gave us the axe.
Yeah,
So,
it's just it's ridiculous.
1987 VHS. I don't think it's.
What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to carry on the series? We're gonna have to start thinking of other things to just hold chats about, mate.
Yeah. Maybe we need to have some guests again. We bring in some people like
thing is as well. We also don't want to get too deep into the reads of some of these people because they are a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd have to beg to disagree on quite a few issues, I'm sure. Because like Ted, I don't do gurus. You know what I mean? I don't do.
When we had somebody you didn't agree with, the glasses went on, the arms crossed.
Yeah. Right. With
Body
me,
English
it's
says
with me, it's that I can't accept anybody saying they are a UFO expert. Because you can only be an expert in something if you've studied it. And you can't bloody study it unless one's been on the ground and you know where the nuts and bolts of it is, and you've taken it apart, put it back together. A mechanical expert, for instance, knows how to take an engine apart and put it back together. A computer expert knows how to build a computer and put all the programs on it and stuff. Okay. Yeah. A musical expert knows everything about music. Or at least.
So a paranormal expert would require more than just talking about the paranormal.
Yes, exactly. It requires knowing certain things and being able to study certain aspects of it. You cannot be in the paranormal field an expert. You can be an enthusiast. You can be an information gatherer. You can be an encyclopedia even of the phenomenon, but you cannot be an expert on UFOs or the paranormal or ghosts.
Yeah.
It's just because there is nothing to actually study. There's nothing to tangibly get hold of.
Claim to be remote viewers. I'm not saying that there's not people that can do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they're just charlatans. It's something that's unverifiable. They're like the spiritualists of the turn of the last
Well,
century.
it's like the I've got an insider thing, and he's not. I can't reveal who he is because his job may be affected and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a pass off to be able to put your ideas forward, right, and blame it on something else external from yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, I that term ufologist is just. There's no such thing, Really, there is no such thing. There's someone that can speak on cases.
There's proctologists and
absolutely, there's a neurologist because a neurologist can study the actual brain outside of the head. After a deceased animal or person, right? It's the same as Well, there's so many, isn't there? A professional artist is a professional artist because they can study art. They can actually tangibly get a hold of a painting and look how the brushstrokes are done. Look what kind of oils, and they can sample it, and blah blah blah. There's an actual science to be able to do it. And you cannot, like I said, it is absolutely impossible to say that you are a UFO specialist or A specialist is fine, because a specialist is someone that specialises in knowing the history of it, you know, and the different cases, and can talk and can offer up, you know, they can consult about it, but you are not a UFO
I
expert.
can consult this fence post out here, but it doesn't mean,
Yeah.
And that whole art thing, people don't realize. I have a degree in art history, and I was in there with a lot of people that thought, "Oh, this will be an easy class to take."
Oh, no way, no way. There's
that's
so
one of the
many
hardest-
nuances,
that's
so
one of the
many
hardest,
nuances, isn't there? Yeah.
Degrees you could get was in art history.
Wow. And the other thing is like a literary expert. You know, a literary expert, mate, you have to go back thousands of years.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, it's something you can actually study. An Egyptologist can study what went on in Egypt and stuff. You know what I mean? There's tangible things to be able to, like I said, do experiments on. You know, rock samples to find out how much patina has grown on it.
Then you can be an Egyptologist without ever having read a book about Egypt. Ever having gone to Egypt,
Exactly. This is my argument. See, with a lot of these people that hold themselves up on their own pedestal, you know, because they're full of self-importance. You know, take a step back from yourself. You know, you don't know it all. You can't. You know, you can't say to me, "I know what that is in the sky." No, you don't. No, you don't. It's an anomalous object. You know, it's something anomalous. You cannot tangibly get hold of it, study it, you know, take a sample from it. You know, it's art is hard. Art has so many different nuances. The same as literacy.
Yeah,
you know,
and so many different
literary art
periods.
Absolutely.
The Renaissance and the great masters.
Well, there's just so much, mate. There's so much. That's why people are experts in one artist.
Yeah.
Or one era. You know what I mean? Because there's too much to be able to be well, I mean, they said there are experts that you know are really good at most of the arts. But then you look at like things like the Antiques Roadshow. You have one expert who knows the Ming Dynasty. You know, you got another expert that knows, you know, the Renaissance. You know what I mean? Because there's so much stuff and so many levels, but again, everything is either traceable, testable. You know, you can do your double experiments, you know, to repeat the same experiment and get the same results. You know, you can do those things with those things. You can't do that with some anomalous object in the sky that someone's got on a video. You know. You know, or
no
someone's
double-blind test.
There's no double-blind test, and also you're going most of the time. You're actually going on people's opinions or their account. You know, and as we know, memory is fallible. It's so fallible that even the police don't rely on memory.
Yeah.
Anything over a year. Because you're fallible, and you also add things in. You change colours because you can't remember the colour of certain things.
Had a
you know,
good
there's
illustration of that when I was in doing my pre-law classes. Some guy with a professor was up there lecturing. The guy came in the side door, grabs the girl's purse, and runs out the door with it. And he's like, "No, stop! Let's talk this over. Let's who saw what." And he made this little narrative. What type of hat was he wearing? Well, some people saw a black hat. Some people saw a red hat. Some people saw a blue hat. Well, the guy wasn't wearing a hat at all because it was all set up. They brought him back in afterwards. Not one of the people actually described the guy that came in and grabbed the purse and ran out with it.
There you go. So, like I said, memory is fallible. So
prove that eyewitness testimony is not worth a hoot in a court.
And there you go. That's why you can't go by people's words 100%. You just can't do that. You know, and again. So then you're left with an open-ended thing. You can't prove or disprove, and that's why these grifters. That's why there's so many grifters in ufology and in ghost hunting and stuff like that, because they know that you can't prove them wrong. You know, if I said to you, I've met and spoken to aliens on a field that's just across from me at about 1 o'clock in the morning when I was riding back from my friend's house on my push bike. Okay, now disprove me. There you go, and you know that I've just told you it's fallacy. You know, I've just told you that there, but you still can't prove me wrong.
Right. It's like the old spiritualism movement, you know, or the people that are psychics or mediums or trance mediums. Oh, there's somebody nearby. Their name starts with an R. Do you know somebody?
Yeah.
Is it Robert? Robert, yes.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. It's Robert. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Robert had the message
it's
for you.
because it's a psychological thing, and they know how to get you to say what they want you to say.
But
so
the
that
people walk away from that and say he was amazing.
Yeah,
He told
no,
me
the
all
best
about
thing
my
you can
Uncle
do-
Robert that I didn't
best
mention.
the best thing you can ever do if you come into contact with a psychic is say nothing.
And then they'll just skip over and go to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly that. Say nothing at all, because then if you're the only person in the room as well, mate, they're knackered. They're knackered because you give them nothing.
Yeah, there's how to read a person, do a cold reading. It's trickery. There's nothing. psychic
Absolutely,
about
it's a
it.
psychological game, right? It's the same as hypnotism. Hypnotism only works with the suggestible. So if you're a person that can be suggested to, you know, like people that stuck masks on through that thing, if you ask me, you know, they're people that are suggestible. You know, I mean, there's still people wearing them now. I mean, it doesn't matter about the science of it. You know, no one cares about the science. You know, that a virus, it'd be like putting a paper mask on, and be like putting up a chain link fence for mosquitoes. You know, nobody understands that because they can't think of particulates. You know. Whereas, like, if a paper mask can't even stop spittle properly, because if you cough, that spittle will still come through that mask because it's so porous. And that's spittle. See, working with paint. See, it's another thing, right? An expert in paint for aircraft or cars or boats, right? You have to understand the micrology, right? So you have to understand what parts per million you want paint to come out of the gun, right? You have to understand how many parts per million to make up different colours. So you have your white base, and then you put your several drips of black, and then several drips of a red, and that to get a particular kind of colour, right? And you also, like on aeroplanes, you have to understand the micrometer, right, which is a micrometer, you know, micrometer, so a millionth of a millimeter, yeah, millionth of a centimeter, sorry. Because, like on a plane, it matters how much paint you put on each wing, because obviously you could put too much paint on one wing and it'd be heavier than the other side. So you have to actually, but again, it's a science that you can actually study and understand. So you can be an expert in paint, yeah, you can be an expert in paintwork. So again, it falls back to that. There's something tangible about it that you can experiment on. You can do different tests. You know, you could get a panel and spray that with a amount of paint, see how heavy that is, and then spray another one with less paint and see how heavy that one is. Do you know what I mean? There's experiments you can do, and you can double it up, and you can try it again and experiment again. You can't do that with some anomalous object in the sky that some bloke down the road says, that's a flying saucer. That's aliens. That's even worse when they do that. That's an alien spaceship, that is. Have you seen the aliens? No, but it's obvious that's what it is. Oh, is it now? So basically it's your opinion.
Seen people interview that. Well, it was a 700 square foot saucer flying at 30,000 feet going 1,000 miles an hour. How do you know that? Well, I'm a good judge of distance and speed. Okay.
I'm not getting guru.
I've heard people
I'm not
say
guru.
that.
It's an actuality. You know, like I said, you can't study something that you can't tangibly hold or take a sample of or do experiments on. You can't say you're an expert in flying saucers unless you've studied a myriad of them. You know what I mean? Not just one that's come to the earth or whatever. If to be an expert in them, you'd have to have studied, you know, not just the origins of the things, but actually study the actual crafts. Yeah, you know, not just photographs that people have presented
and
over
even
the
then,
years.
there's all kinds of. I had another class in college where they were teaching us logical thinking and stuff. I said, how can he challenge us to prove that sheep can't fly? And of course, you got the regular things. You'll throw them off a cliff. If they go splat, they can't fly. And he said, well, no, you've proven that sheep couldn't fly. I said, okay, let's get a dozen sheep and throw them off. They all went splat. Now, did you prove it? No, you proved that those 12 sheep can't fly. If you took all the sheep and threw them off of the cliff and they went splat, maybe they chose not to fly. You can't prove anything like that. It's subjective.
There you go. It's one, like I said, that's why these ufologists, as they call themselves, or like a most prominent one is Wilcox, David Wilcock,
Yeah.
right? What the biggest grifter of all? He's always got a secret insider, right? And he's always got things that he's being told by his insider that this is that, and there's nothing ever comes to fruition from what he says. Nothing ever comes of it. He never ever does anything with it. It's just pure and utter grift. And for only $333.33 a year, you can have his inner secrets, right? That is also from his secret insider, in other words, himself. And, you know, he might be, clever bloke, you know, to get away with it for so many years.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic. Fair play to him. Because, you know, he's making money and he's got a nice massive house and all the rest
There's
of it.
whole religions. I won't mention anything, but L. Ron Hubbard had something to do with one of them.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Founded on
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just-
Let's not talk too much about it, but we absolutely know what that science is.
They're very soothing.
You know, and there's a lot of people that have completely lost their minds and given all their money and joined them. You know, you pay for the privilege, mate. You join them ludicrous loonies. You know, and they've got one major figurehead as well in that loony group, haven't they? You know, a Saturn film star. Well, there's several, isn't there? There's the dancing one, the dancing one. You know, Mr. Revolting, Mr. Revolting.
And then Mr. Impossible Mission.
Yeah, Mr. Impossible Mission. That's it. Yeah, yeah, absolute lunatics. Yeah, I believe in the sci-fi book that was written by some lunatic pedo.
And if you want to mess those guys up when they start talking to them about that, they're oh, I'm theta clear. I have been for years. I prove I'm not.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what it is. They're Thetans, which are these old
Thetans.
aliens that attach themselves to you, and you have to.
Yeah, you have to detach them to be able to become one of them. And they will show you the secrets. They do the same grift, but in a much more classy way.
With a needle on it, and you hold it.
Yeah. You have to hold them links. No, you're lying.
A galvanometer or something they call it. Galvanometer.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble with that lot, but each his own.
Yeah,
But, not for me.
it just absolute lunatics, you know. But it's fun. It's fun to talk about for us because it gives us something to laugh at. And I don't know what it is about some people. I think it's just the need to belong. I think it's an insecurity thing. See, there's a psychological thing. I mean, I'm one of them people that can be just sit on my own permanently and never see anybody, right? And I'm fine with my own thoughts. I don't need validation for any of
Always
my
been
thoughts
good
or
at
actions.
entertaining myself. I've always enjoyed my
Absolutely.
own company. I
Well,
didn't need to be entertained.
Yeah, well, like I said, what that is that's a psychological strength, right? Because you don't need validating for your existence by everybody else. Whereas people that join massive groups like that become, cult members because that is a cult. Let's not get it wrong. They might disguise it as a religion, but it's a cult, right? But
Same with anything. When I went to college, University of Tennessee, UT football was a religion.
Absolutely,
150,000
absolutely.
screaming people out
yes,
there.
and because it's a sense of belonging, and we all need that because
And I
we are
can share that.
tribal. Well, it's because human beings are tribal, right? And there's safety in numbers, and it's from that sense of need of protection for yourself.
that
you know.
need to fit in, that
Yeah,
never
and it's
occurred to
true.
me that I
Apparently,
needed to
only
fit
the
in anywhere.
strongest-minded people are able to be alone permanently, sort of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Who don't need. It's not the fact I don't like other people or I'm agoraphobic or any of those things. I'm just fine in my own company. I don't need. It's lovely to have conversations like we're having right now. It's a wonderful thing. But if I didn't have it, I wouldn't lose my mind. You know. But a lot of people, like when they go in prison and they're in a cell on their own, they go mad. They literally go mad. You know?
Yeah, wouldn't
Yeah.
bother me a bit.
Sorry?
It wouldn't bother me a bit.
No,
Solitary confinement.
no.
I prefer it. Like,
Yeah.
like when we had the lockdown and stuff, I'd been practicing for that my whole
Mate,
life.
yeah, same as. Do you know what? It just passed
I'd
me
been
by.
leaving my
I was
house
just
for
looking at the
years.
madness going on. That's all I did. And I was like, wow, look at these crazy people. And look how easily manipulated humanity is. That's what I was thinking. My fear was that everybody else is easily mind controlled, and that worries me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I was sat there as the minority. Like I wouldn't take anything experimental, if you know what I mean. Jab jab. You know, so I was one of those that was, an avid like. I'm fine, thanks very much, mate. I'll tell you what. Give my one to someone else that really, really is on their knees begging for it. You give it to that person, mate. And I kept getting messages from my doctor. Your free thing is here waiting for you. That's very nice. Thanks very much. Bye.
Yeah, the place I used to grocery shop in Oregon, the cashier would remind me, we've got those for free, and in the pharmacy. And
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it?
I just play
Generous.
along with. Yeah, I get one every time I'm here. I've had 17 so far. He's like, what? Makes as much sense as what you're saying.
Yeah. It's who could stay solitary confinement for a month in the world quietest room? Sign me up. Yeah, but the thing about the world's quietest room is that is actually detrimental, because it's like, being in a soundproof room is great, but being in a completely and utterly a sound deprivating room, that's disconcerting, because you can hear your own blood flowing around your head. That's when it's a little bit freaky. So that's a different thing again. But that's actually quite a sick experiment for them to want to do, to be honest with you, because there's no need, and there'll be nothing gained from doing something like that to someone. That's kind of like a sick experiment, that for them to even suggest that. Hello, Kathy.
Hi, Kelly.
Kathy Maguire.
Well, the show was kind of a bust tonight as far as what we were going to do, but we still had a good time. We watched some guys from New Jersey going on about something there, name drop and give some.
And a good little chat afterwards. And me getting on my high horse.
That was the best part, to you and I chatting.
And
got to see Holden. I got to bring the baby.
Yeah,
in.
absolutely. Yeah, the wonderful, beautiful Holden. Yeah, our newest patron. Yeah.
Indeed.
Don't forget to get him a YouTube channel and sign up to First Floor Audio, by the way.
Yep.
Everybody
Yeah.
needs a little bit of music in their life, mate.
Yeah, indeed. Well, speaking of, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here so I can get the little
Yeah,
fellow
yes.
to bed and get
Same,
myself
yeah.
Nicole to bed. But well, thanks for joining us, Lee. Thanks for setting everything up for me. And
Yeah, no problem, mate. Always a pleasure.
And thanks for singing "Happy Birthday" to John Keller there.
Indeed. Well, if Ted Branston's wife would have been here, I would have quite happily.
I thought about
sung
that.
happy
It's
birthday
both
to
their
her, too.
birthdays, and
Yeah.
you've never seen them together in one room at the same time.
No.
So-
No, are they the
Keller,
same person? This is what we need to ask ourselves. See, now disprove me.
Just kidding you, Ted.
Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, a very happy birthday to you again, John. I hope you have a great night, mate. That's all right. There's always a rewind button, Kathy.
There'll be more lives to come on both our channels.
Yeah, but we
Actually,
need
we'll
to
have
do
one
more
next
discussion things because I love getting into the reads.
Yeah, it's fun
You know.
just to talk about just nothing at all and everything and whatever crosses their minds.
Because it's
pretty
all
cool.
that it's all up for discussion, isn't it?
Yeah.
To me, anything that goes on our planet, I'm interested. You know, I'm a human being. I live on planet Earth. You know, and things go on the planet that are interesting. You know, it's not all about me. I think I'm interesting enough, but that's up to other people to disprove that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're interested enough to get somebody to show up and listen to you talk, then you're all good.
There you go.
Play
There you go. And I'll get at least 7 people watching me.
There you go. That's 7 more than a lot of people have. So
Indeed, mate. Indeed. And I'll get it on a regular basis, so I'm not going to cry. Right, go on then. Let's close the show out then. Jason Letman, thank you very much for joining us here on From Beyond.
Yeah, and on behalf of Holden and Nicole and myself, we'll see you a little further on down the trail. Have a good night, everybody. Tell your animals we said hi. Thanks again, Lee. Play us out.
And you, Steve. Speak to you soon.
Music, you think?
Yeah. You doing it, are you?
Yeah, I got it.
You do it. Go on, mate.
Here we go. Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.